Sat Shri Akal, I'm Attar.
Hi, I'm Maneesha.
Welcome to our podcast, Two Best Friends, where us two best friends talk about everything and anything that's happening to us around in our lives to our loved ones. And today we are going to talk about the most exciting topic.
The interesting topic, absolutely. It's about superstitions, those niggling thoughts that are things that you grew up with.
ऐसे मत करना,
It's
ऐसा हो जाएगा.
Yes, that's it. And actually, just sharing our experiences with it, or people we grew up with and what it looked like. But before we get into it, I think the silver lining of this week.
Yeah.
Do you want to start
Yes,
something?
yes, I would say the silver lining comes with a disclaimer that we're recording in this city called Darwin. So we are recording outside. You can see how luscious and how tropical looking this is. Very humid as well, but doing it here with my best friends, it's an amazing feeling and it's a silver lining. So if you hear any passerby or cars or any other guests, it's because we're recording outside.
Silver lining for me, absolutely the trip. But I think something I really enjoyed in the trip was we went to, we had a tour and we went to a few waterfalls and water places. And I personally am a big lover of water person, water bodies. And one of the places we went was this big, like waterfall, pool. What do they call it here? Billabong, right? It was a Billabong, but it was one of the biggest I've ever seen in my life. And I went in and I was floating in for a bit there. The gratefulness and amazing feeling I had while I was doing that, it was like something just filled in me saying, oh my God, I'm so lucky to be able to be here. And it's such a clean, beautiful environment with not so many people. And it was beautiful and sweet. It was a very amazing experience to have that and to see that waterfall and that big, huge space and be in the water. Yeah, that was my silver lining moment to have that. It's beautiful. Yeah.
Very nice. Should we dive into our topic?
Yes. So I think first one is if you have any childhood, something that your mom said or someone else said, an auntie said, uncle said, that is, there that you grew up with. You may or may not have believed it, but it was very much there. Like, oh, don't do this or this will happen. Is there anything to you, Atha, that stands out?
Stands out. Yes, there are like so many that I've heard, but not really practiced in my household as such, except one which we'll talk about later. But one thing that I'd heard, and it used to irk me so much when I would go to like the Rishtadar's house or would just hear someone say, "Aaj nahi laga," because something bad would happen.
Yeah.
If someone is saying bye, you just let them keep going. मतलब अगर तुम्हें कुछ याद आ to add on to something or to tell them something, you can't stop them because they may never come back.
So that was so interesting. Interesting you say that. Now it's something in my subconscious, like it just came out right now when you said that. One, my parents, when we used to go out, right? Of course, it was a bit of a, how it is in a household where you go crazy, with everyone getting ready and whatever. And there would be a lot of times where my dad mostly, but mostly I can think of my dad, would forget things, right? And you'd have to turn back. And that irked my mother. And there was also this superstition that you can't go back home after you have moved, after you've left.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Interestingly, even it happens in our house too, right? Sometimes you're like, did we forget it? And it just in my subconscious, like, oh, we should not do
But
it.
निकल गए.
But nikal gaya to nikal gaya. But it was such an interesting, like when he said that, it just stuck to me. Like there was this thinking, you do not come back if you're leaving, just leave and don't come back. It's similar.
Bro, the number
but
of
different.
times I go back into the house because I've forgotten something, it's insane. And I've made it back home each time.
Yeah, you have. So it's been okay. But it's more that whole subconscious thought, oh my God, like you can't do this because something bad will happen if you do it. Interestingly, it comes to me every time we do it. We still do it, but it's there. Or sometimes I don't do it because I'm like, nah, I don't want to. Like, I'm just going to do it. If it's
actually, want to test the fate.
Yeah, and if it's a really important day, I may actually choose to not do it and go on.
So you believe in that subconsciously?
Subconsciously, I think I do. It's in there, like, no, I don't want to. And in a way. Like
you don't want to tempt the fate.
I don't know what it is. It's not, I'm not thinking so deeply about it. It is somewhere, I think, because you've grown up with it and you've got it, subconsciously it's a part of the system. And it kind of comes through. It feels like, oh my God, do I want to forget it? Let's leave it. That was an interesting. Well,
What about you?
yeah, I think, I mean, for me, it would be honestly, if you tell me to pinpoint something, I can't think of anything. But I guess what sticks with me is, and I don't think it was my parents as such, but it was everyone around where if a cat, Kali Billy, or any kind of billy for that matter, crosses your thing. And man, Darwin is full of billies. Like, so I said,
You know what? Imagine going to Turkey, Istanbul. There are billies everywhere.
everywhere, right?
Don't get any.
Yeah, and then you have these billies crossing all the time. And I have had moments where I will think for 5 seconds and then I will just go down. Like, right? But it is there, like it's something you grow with. I remember growing up and waiting for someone to cross that. I have to take it. But actually having that, like growing up, a lot of people, I don't think my parents, I don't remember my parents ever saying it, but my friends or other members of the community.
This is so funny that how you earlier said that you didn't want to test the fate.
Yeah.
Like, you know, how हमारे गांव का घर, we have so many billies and they are not pet billies. They've just been living, they're coexisting
Like
in
stray
that
cats,
space.
yeah.
No, they're not stray cats. They are
coexisting.
coexisting. They are not really pets. They're there. So when I was little, I remember I used to try and test my fate by making the billies cross my path and then go and see क्या होता है.
So it was there, you
Yeah.
heard about it so much that you're like, okay, this is ridiculous. I want to test it. Yeah.
Busted, still here.
Persevere. I mean, don't test it by saying it 400 times. I've just gone through a very traumatic book right now. So
Oh my God.
not traumatic as such, but like,
you don't want to lose your
yeah,
best friend.
yeah, I don't want to lose my best friend because there she does lose her best
I
friend.
don't want to find out the letters I've written.
No. Okay. I'm scared about it now. Because, oh my God, what will come out of it? Yeah, anyways, coming back to it, I guess then the other thing is coming to Australia. And I feel like, in its own way, because Australia is such a mixed bag of people, superstitions come across a lot. Plus, I think marrying with Australian and he and his family, like there's a lot that I have been exposed to. But one thing that's interesting is when my kids were born, the Kala Tika.
Yes, you did that.
I feel like I didn't do it, but I feel like yes, it was done. I remember Ayan's face Kala Tika a few times. I think it's our mom who did it. Maybe Ashwin's mom as well. But yeah, absolutely. It was there. And then Ayan had a Kala Dhaga, and I think Ina had it too because it was like the Buri Nazar of the evil eye. That being so strong. But then as a parent, like, might as well. Whatever you protect them, sure.
You know what's one thing that my brain stops and thinks is especially in Delhi, because that's one place I see a lot of what are they called? Transgender hujaras.
Yes.
You know how they say like you should give them something, whatever they say will come true. Yeah. Never given them anything, but I do stop for a second and I'm like, ooh, what if? What if? But that's a little bit of no, that don't. Well, if they're asking for something or money, and if you say no, jate kuch bhi bol jata. And then you're like, I'm cursed now. I have to go to another like Jhadu Pandit to take the curse off. No, I don't think that way, but it's just like the vicious cycle.
It stops you, like for a second.
Yeah.
It stops you.
But I think that goes in any way, not just for them in particular, but in general in my life. One of my things is to not upset someone that for them to get or say something bad.
Yeah.
Because I feel like when that comes from your heart, from your gut, it will come true.
Yeah.
So it's not really superstition that wahi bolenge to aisa hoga, but it's just in general.
Is there any that you've heard growing up that you feel kind of also like with your son as well, like that you say by randomly or it's not on purpose, but you do? Do you?
I don't think so.
There's nothing.
There isn't any single thing. My mom is quite big on like shower, like wash your hair on this particular day, and I will defy it.
Did you do it growing up?
I don't know. Maybe she did it, but ever since I've started doing it myself, no, not really. But that's a new thing that I heard from her. Like not new as in like
Tuesday ko balna.
But 5 saal pehle she is like, oh, I'm telling your siblings to wash your hair on this day. मैंने कहा बिल्कुल भी नहीं उस दिन होंगी दौड़ लगा दो मैं निकलूंगी.
I remember growing up, and I was just going to tell this part, but I remember a lot of saloons in India close on Tuesday. But some of them also give discounts on that day because people don't come. I remember going and getting my haircut on that day because Tuesday is special. But it 100% India, a lot of salons close on Tuesday just because there is a thing that you cannot cut your hair or wash your hair on that day. It's pretty clear.
Wow, interesting. Very
I,
interesting.
I mean, I have one that I tell my kids every time they hitki or they hiccup, and I tell Lina, yeah, your daddy or your achi or your dadu is missing you. Hold it.
Oh my God. Do you know what I tell the Gyan when there's a hitchki? That you're growing taller.
You do say some
But
random.
no, is that random? Though I don't know.
Look at her. So I don't do anything. And then she brings out all these things. Of course, it's random. There is what is the science behind hiccups and getting taller?
And then when I do hiccups, and then Gyan's like, Mom, do you really have any hope?
For getting taller. You know, if that was the case, I would be much taller than I am right now. Thank you very much. I think my theory and supervision, superstition. So you, I'm sure, have heard that somewhere, to be able to say.
I'm sure, but I don't know if I believe in it.
Yeah, but I'm not saying you believe, but it's the subconscious.
Like,
Like what I'm saying is subconsciously you've heard it. And it comes out in different random moments, like these, right? Like, I don't believe that Hitchki means is equal to that, but absolutely there is, there is that in the subconscious. Every time someone says, I'm like, oh, this is what's happening. My kids may say to the next generations, and that's how it kind of continues on. Believe it or not, it doesn't really matter. It's interesting. Any other that you absolutely did not like? I think the hair one is one. Yeah. Was there any other that you felt like, oh my God, this is ridiculous? Like you grew up with?
No. So I grew up.
Not grew up with, but like heard it, and you're like, this is like the most weirdest superstition.
Oh, calling back. Someone कोई बाहर जाता हो उसको बुलाओ. That I said before. That is my absolutely like pet peeve. इतना मुझे खिजाती. That तुम्हें याद आ गई है तुम बोल रहे हो. And suddenly you're reprimanded for that. That's ridiculous. That is bloody ridiculous. This was actually one family relative who did that.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is fucking bullshit.
Have you had the one where there was like, if you sneeze and someone's walking out, you have to stop? I have had that. Yes. I've had that. Or they'll die if you sneeze. If you sneeze and they walk out, and you have to wait another 10 minutes before they can actually walk out. Like, have you had that? I have had that growing up, where not like growing up, but go to random, like some uncle, auntie's house, and then suddenly your stage is oh, अभी नहीं जा सकते अभी तो बैठो 10 रुपए बता रही हूँ like what ऐसे ही बोलते चाहे anyways you're gonna give oh my God, and you and a teenager like I don't want to be here, man. Why did I sneeze? Why did this person sneeze?
I have heard so much about it, but I've never seen it in practice. But you know what's the other thing? I feel like I've seen a lot more of these superstitions in shows, in TV shows, than in real life. Like all the Balaji Ekta Kapoor shows.
Yeah. I mean, we have this thing where, I mean, growing up, especially, I mean,
like there's chance being to people. You sneeze, that guy went down and died.
Maybe that's what it's actually.
And then God realized, no, he waited 10 minutes, then वो वापस with a new face. That's why Mihir went.
But who was the other one? I remember another one that, oh my God, I forgot about it. But sorry. Oh yeah, no, this. Oh, not another one, but growing even now with Tayan and Ina, we've had moments where, when they were younger actually, where they would be unsettled or they get sick suddenly when we go to India, right? And then there is this whole thing where we had someone at home. She was like a family member, but she was supporting the family and helping. And she would go and do this whole thing and then come back and go around and then be like, what are you doing? But it was also like a way of protecting the child and love and caring for the child. Like, I felt like that I may not have believed it, but I was okay with it. Personally, it's okay. Like, I get it. Like, again, it's not harmful, but there would be so much. The kid is crying or randomly, and they would have him, and then you like,
we can take this up notch a little. What are your thoughts about ghosts? Like, if they're real or not?
Oh, interesting. I don't know. I mean, like, I don't know. Well, yes, maybe there is. I do believe in some kind of, there is something out there beyond this, us. Ghosts, I don't know. I haven't had personal experience with it. I love hearing ghost stories.
I'm getting experience. Yeah. Cute.
Jari?
You tested the way.
Fine. What are your thoughts about it? What are your thoughts about it?
I think they're there. We coexist, but that's nothing to be afraid of.
Yeah. I mean, like they're different realms. Like
Yeah.
in my head, I feel like they're different somewhere, right? It's not just, I mean, like it just feels very little to have one life, human life.
Yeah.
Say like, and there could be different things, but that also feel like it's because we've grown up in a culture that believes in it in different ways.
Yeah, but I also feel like there's so much, as you said, about realms. There's so much out there that we don't know about.
I mean, I've read lots of books about it. I've heard people talk about it so much.
Yeah.
Experiences of it.
So I feel like it's there. Yeah, it's everything coexisting. Maybe there are two best friends right behind us being part of this.
Okay. Let's go back to the superstition part of it. Because you have gone into another realm altogether right now with this. Because I'm gonna now think about it all the time while I'm just walking around. Okay. Any last superstitions or thoughts before we actually wrap up? Any one that you feel you would actually do it just to scare your kids? Scare my not scare, just be like, don't do this, and this is it.
Yeah. Like, I don't know if
Because I feel like half of them were made for this.
Oh,
They
yeah,
just
100%.
made to tell kids
can't-
to do certain things. Like, the cutting nails.
Or even jhadu.
Jadu in the night. Yes, I remember that. Cutting nails. Honestly, in my house, that's the only time I cut nails because this is the only time I get with my daughter.
I think it was discarding of nails that may have led to believe that don't do it in the evening. Like, you don't discard them properly, and then if birds chew on them,
If it's indoor, how will they just be discarded outside? But I'm assuming I thought it was night and you'll just cut the wrong part in the hand.
That too.
Because there'll be no light.
Anyways, but hang on. What about jhadu? Why can't you jhadu at night?
You can't see. There was no light.
Anki puja.
I don't, well, I had no idea, but yeah, that is true. Jadu was another one. Maybe they just wanted women to have a break, and women created that themselves.
Like they say how women can't enter the kitchen like she's on a period.
Some cultures and some they say. I feel like it's a break.
But it's a break thing, but it's been extended too much to like use against them. Now you're up for victor, which is not the case. It was just a break.
It was. But coming back, is there anything you take forward for your kid? That you just want to be like, भाई यार नहीं तो क्या हो जाएगा?
नहीं उसको नहीं आपको it's superstition.
You're in superstition beyond,
and also he's beyond that age to use it on him.
He's even beyond that. Yeah, I think for me it's the Hitchki. Hitchki is the only one I can think of that I actually tell my kids. My daughter 100%. I was with them. How did they believe something? She will always ask me a question. I'm like, no, just listen.
You're like मैंने कह दिया तो कह दिया ज़्यादा मत पूछो.
बस हिचकी आ रही है ना.
Don't get silent.
But I mean, there's a lot there, and I guess the other thing is
even people don't wear colors on certain days.
Or wear colors. Yellow, for example, yellow is worn on a Wednesday or a Saturday. In India, I feel like there is so much. Like if we really delve into it,
I don't think we have even like touched the
surface. There is so much.
I would love to listen to what other like superstitions are out there.
Maybe,
and I'm more than happy to test them.
Okay. And I guess to our listeners, please, if you have any that you grew up with, please share that with us. Put it on a comment in the message or DM us, and we would love to know.
I am taking this as a challenge. I will try it.
But once you try them,
scared that I'll die.
Yes. And she's just like, I'll test them. You know, two best friends at the back. You never know what will happen.
Okay, that's getting dark.
Thank you for listening to us. Take care, and we'll see you in a while. We're going to take a bit of break for the next few weeks, and we'll see you back in August. So take care and bye.